Welcome to the Cutting Onions Podcast, Episode 8. Today's interview is with Myles Gift, Director of Operations of a Five Guys franchise in Las Vegas. Myles is all about people development and understands team building at an organic level. He embodies the people-first philosophy that all great leaders have. Myles grew up in mid-Missouri at the Lake of the Ozarks, where he was heavily into sports and feels like that is where his leadership attributes began to form. Myles went on to graduate from Central Methodist University with a double major in accounting and business management. After graduating college, he bought into a Midwest pizza franchise and spent the next 5 years cutting his teeth in the restaurant industry, learning the business from the ground up. He has spent the last 15 years at companies where he's been lucky enough to have worked with and developed some excellent leaders. Yum Brands, Church's Chicken, and Captain D's all helped shape both what he wants to do and does not want to be as a leader. His journey has led him to Vegas with a franchise group that shares the same viewpoint on business. The people are the most important part of the equation, and that leading people is not a destination, but a journey. Myles believes that as long as he continues to listen, his team will continue to teach him how to be a better leader. This was a fantastic conversation, and I'm so excited to share it with you. So here's my conversation with Myles Gift, and we'll see you on the other side.
So we'll just go ahead and jump right in. So I really appreciate you making the time for the interview, Myles. And I know we had a chance to chat a few weeks ago and be able to get to know each other a little bit. And I love your background, and I love all that you've done in your career. And so what I'd love to do is just have you just kind of give us an overview of kind of who you are and kind of how you got here.
Sure. I'm I guess probably a typical Midwest boy. Grew up, spent my first 35 or so years in Missouri, and, really got my start in the business.
I knew I liked you for a reason, being from Missouri. I knew I liked you. I knew I liked you for a reason, Myles. There you go.
Diehard Missouri fan, and I'm pretty excited. University of Missouri starts their football season in Wyoming, and a son of mine and I have plans to go out there to see opening day in Laramie, and we're counting down the days getting to see Tiger football. So
that's super cool.
Yeah. And as I progressed through college, kind of like anybody trying to figure out what they want to do, and thought I wanted to be a CPA, went to school for accounting, and ended up with an accounting / business management double major, because I figured out most of the way through college that accounting didn't really fit my personality, and sitting behind a desk and looking at journals wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And so I started looking around, and a friend of mine and I were talking about starting a business together. What were we going to do? And his brother had opened a restaurant or bought a franchise in mid-Missouri, and another one came available. And so one day I'd never worked in a restaurant, and the next day I owned one. So that was my introduction into the restaurant business. And probably like everybody that has done it for 20 plus years, caught the bug, and we did the franchisee thing ourselves for better part of a decade, and got to the point where we had to come up with an exit strategy, unfortunately, and I just kind of navigated through, and probably like everyone, looked at different times through the career of, do I want to exit the restaurant business? And just never did, because the people interaction and people development engagement is really what I grew to love, and it's captured me, and here I am 20 plus years later.
I think that's so powerful. I think, that is for sure what's happened to me too, is it's the people in this business, the relationships that you build, the connections that you make that really transcend everything else. And it actually helps everything else work. Right. So I completely get that. Yeah.
It's really where I think, people start having success in our business is realizing that the time and effort that we put into others is truly when success happens and synergy. And you really, when the people around you are successful, it's one of those deals where if you hire great people, and it's been said in our business forever, if you hire great people or people that are better than you, then you can't help but succeed. So that's really what has become the focus of pretty much every day of my life now is what can I do for others.
So why do you think that lesson is so hard for some leaders to learn? What is it about that whole notion of trying to surround yourself with people that are as good or even better than you are? So what do you think, what's so hard for a young leader to be able to navigate that, to be able to make that connection?
Well, I think just growing up, everything is so much individual success. Whether it's a lot of us have come up through sports and had success in sports and developed our leadership through the different sports that we played. And, you're recognized, even though you have team success, you're really, when you have the ultimate success, recognized individually. And I think you just have that mindset. And as you're younger, you feel more about what can I do and what am I doing? And you don't really recognize how you fit into the teams and how when the team is successful, you can be more successful. And as you develop and as you grow and as you mature and as you see those things happen in front of you, you start to, at least that's what happened for me. I started to realize that it's not about me. It's about other people having great success. And when I have a team of people achieving great results individually and in their stores and with their teams, then I am looked at as a great leader. And so it's like you sit back one day and you're like, wow, I when did I realize this? I don't know, but it's pretty powerful in realizing that if I don't worry about myself and I worry about others, then the things for me take care of themselves.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think you couldn't have really, said that any better, Myles. And I think that is the lesson, is that if you're not worried about the next thing for yourself, the next thing always presents itself. It always presents itself. So that's awesome. Well, you've got a super interesting background from you going one day of not working in restaurants to one day owning one the next day.
Yeah.
So kind of bring us up to speed on what you're doing now.
I'm currently living in Las Vegas, and we could probably have a whole discussion on Las Vegas itself. Beautiful town, interesting place that, I visited Las Vegas and the Strip, half a dozen, maybe 10 times in my life. And that's about as far as I'd ever gone. But Las Vegas is such an interesting, beautiful city that's growing and is vibrant and has expansion on all sides. And it's just an awesome place. And lucky enough to have the opportunity to come out and be part of a franchise organization for Five Guys that owns the state of Nevada. And, we're working towards putting ourselves in a position from our bench that we're going to grow out the state. And then, who knows at that point, if opportunities in Minneapolis or Fort Lauderdale or Kansas City come up, be in a position from a bench that we can assess those from a financial situation and is it the right choice, and really try to grow and be a powerhouse within the Five Guys system.
I love it. And I think that's the key, right? The key to growth. Growth always sounds great until it doesn't. And it's typically, typically what happens is it's because we don't have that bench of top performers that we are ready to call on and to invest in, to move to these new opportunities. So,
and as I was a franchisee and I was learning on my own dime, many years ago. And what I really considered me getting my PhD in the restaurant business was because I paid for it.
No question.
Yeah, right. I didn't have the concept back then of, overreaching yourself and what that really meant. I thought it was easy, and I thought I could do this. And if you've got the capital, everything else is fine. And it's not about the capital. Obviously, that's very important, but it's about the people and being ready to expand and grow and take care of the business. And so that's absolutely what we're doing now is bringing on people to get into our culture and love the system that we're in. So when we do grow and expand, we can do so with great people, even
Absolutely.
if it's in Kalamazoo,
Right. So is that a hurdle that you had to overcome? I mean, is that something that you had to learn kind of the hard way? You mentioned it, right? That, you paid for those decisions. We all do early on in our career where, we think we've got it, we think we've got it licked and we realize that we really don't. Was that a hurdle that you had to overcome?
Yeah, it was definitely a big realization that with growth and expansion, you have to pace and sequence. And if you don't build the right foundation, and I know we've already discussed today a lot about people, but I mean, we're in the people business. If we're selling burgers or chicken or pizza, that's great, but we're really in the people business. And if you're not doing really well in your business, then you're not going to be successful when you look towards growth and expansion. And so you've got to have that foundation. You've got to have a solid base of people that love your organization, want to be a part of it, want to be part of growth and opportunity. And then you can go out and you can do those things and you can be successful. But we've all been in situations where even if it's to a shift, where shifts have not gone the way we want, or a store isn't going, we call it being on fire. We've all been in those situations, and it's all about people. So you've got to slow down and you've got to temper your excitement for growth. Put yourself in a situation to succeed, and then you can go execute the financial side of the plan. Absolutely.
So I guess next is kind of a two-part question: was that obvious to you, or did you just kind of happen on to the realization that, look, we've got to start doing this differently. We've got to invest a little bit ahead of the business. We have to invest in our people. And then what was your first step after you realized it? Like, what did you do next?
Well, I think for me, it was kind of a two-part. Obviously, it was definitely a lesson that I learned, as we talked about, kind of on my own dime. And as there were some missteps that happened, it's like, maybe this wasn't as easy as I thought, and maybe this wasn't the right execution of a plan. And as I transitioned from that into some other organizations, I was lucky enough that I had some pretty good leaders along the way that, helped me strategize and think through that. And I'm somebody that, when I've got a vision, I get very excited about it, and I want it to happen, and I want to go execute it. And, kind of pulled the reins back as I came up through the business on, that's great, but let's harness that energy in the right way. And right now it needs to be focused on hiring and training and developing and creating a culture where people want to be, and then we can go do the other stuff. So, it was definitely a long process in kind of getting to that realization. And then, for me, steps are always the first step with that, as we're doing right now, is bringing great people into this organization and finding the right fit. I tell the people that we're talking with, it's important that not only you fit with us, but we fit with you, because I want this to be a long-term relationship. So the culture and you fitting into our vision, it's something that I take a long time in trying to explain. We're not hiring them to fill a role. We're hiring them because we feel like they're going to be a huge asset for our organization.
I love that. Beautifully said. And I think that what's interesting about that too is, when you mentioned that it takes time, I think the time is all wrapped up in you rallying the rest of the team and being able to inspire them to look at things the way that you are, right? So in terms of when you think about growth and when you think about surrounding yourself with great people and all those things, those aren't always intuitive to young leaders. And